Shalom. All praises, blessings, glories, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Wadash. Double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy to the elect of the nation of Israel, whom I used to call Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the sea land of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and was scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great and abroad. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ratazah. This lesson is edifying. Now this will be a walk and talk, so please forgive me for the ambiance in the background. In the news from the Bloomberg, Putin halts Nuke Pact with U.S. vows to push war in Ukraine. Russia to halt observation of New START nuclear treaty with U.S. Putin says Russia will achieve its war aims in Ukraine. In other headlines from the RT, lawmakers approve Putin's nuclear treaty decision. The State Duma has passed legislation suspending Russia's participation in the New START agreement. A pact is an agreement, a treaty, an obligation, a covenant, a bond, a bargain. And as it is written in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3, it reads, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." Over the past umpteen years, beginning with the elder apostles, bishop elders, elder brothers, on down to us younger men, we have been warning and telling the flock how that this so-called New START nuclear pact or agreement or treaty between the U.S. and various other countries like Iran and Russia and whatnot will be of no effect in the end and come to naught. And now we are seeing that bear fruition. Now let's listen to this brief video. Please bear with me 1 second. Let me just refresh the page.
I'm addressing you at a very difficult Rubicon time. Dramatic changes in the world. Great historical changes that will determine the future of our country and our people, when every single one of us has a huge responsibility. A year ago, to defend our historical land, to provide security and safety of our country, and to get rid of the danger from the neo-Nazi regime. that established itself after the coup d'etat in 2014, we took the decision to start the special military operation step by step. Consistently, we're going to solve the problems that we're facing. Starting as of 2014, Donbass defended its right to live in its own country and speak its own language. They fought. They did not surrender in conditions of blockade and continuous shellings from the Kiev regime. And they hoped and they believed that Russia will come and help them.
This concludes a brief video now. In reading the article, just a bit, the state's President Vladimir Putin said Russia will suspend its observation of the New START treaty with the US, dealing a blow to the last accord limiting their nuclear arsenals. And so, under this treaty, Russia was limited in its development of nuclear missiles and in the strengthening of its nuclear arsenal. But now, since it has suspended its treaty between the US concerning the New START treaty, it now has the room to move forward in developing and enhancing their existing weapons of mass destruction, namely the ICBM nuclear missile. It says, as he vows to press on with his faltering invasion of Ukraine. Now, obviously the media is gonna push their propaganda and whatnot, but reading on, it states this: Russia is fighting for its historic lands in Ukraine and will fulfill, pardon me, the task set step by step, carefully and consistently. Putin told lawmakers and top officials in Moscow on Tuesday. Russia won't be the first to resume testing of nuclear weapons as a result of its suspension of New START, though it will do so in response to any US test, he said. The foreign ministry later said Russia will continue to observe the treaty's limits on weapons until it expires and participate in the exchanges of data and mandates. But wait till you hear what the article in RT states. Russia's decision to suspend the treaty can be reversible, the ministry said in a statement on the website. Russia's suspension of the treaty is deeply unfortunate and irresponsible, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in Athens. Putin's decision makes the world more dangerous. It means the entire infrastructure of arms control has been dismantled. North Atlantic Treaty Organization Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told reporters in Brussels, urging Russia to reconsider. U.S. President Joe Biden extended the nuclear treaty by 5 years to 2026 as one of his first acts upon taking office in 2021, shortly before it was due to expire, after Putin had pressed his predecessor Donald Trump without success to agree to a deal. The Biden administration will be watching carefully to see what Russia actually does and ensure the U.S. is postured appropriately for the security of our own country and that of our allies, Blinken said. The extension of New START was in the security interests of both countries and will remain ready to talk about strategic arms limitations at any time with Russia, irrespective of anything else going on in the world or in our relationship. Again, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. The U.S. and its NATO allies want to inflict a strategic defeat on us, and this is a very heavy point, an interesting one at that too, and crawl into our nuclear facilities by demanding inspections under the treaty, Putin said, describing the request as absurd. The State Department accused Russia last month of breaching the terms of the treaty by refusing to allow inspectors on its territory and stonewalling U.S. efforts to discuss the issue. Russia dismissed the criticism and blamed the U.S., saying difficulties with New START were a direct result of the hybrid war unleashed by the West against our country. And I will conclude reading this article here, and we'll move on to the next. And we'll, Lord's willing, leave this article in the description box of the lesson. This is from the RT. Again, it reads, lawmakers approve Putin's nuclear treaty decision. This article comes a day after the last article that was just read had been published. The State Duma has passed legislation suspending Russia's participation in the New START agreement. Russian lawmakers approved a bill on Wednesday submitted by President Vladimir Putin, in which Moscow will temporarily suspend its participation in the Strategic Offensive Arms Treaty New START. And really, it won't be a temporary suspension, but really rather a permanent one. Because remember, these nations are gearing up for war, because we are in a season of war, according to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. Therefore, these nations have been taking their economic wealth and using it towards the research and development and enhancements of weapons of mass destruction, because the Lord has put it in the hearts of their kings, of their presidents, their generals, their military leaders to do so. Because the third world's woe, according to Revelation chapter 11 verse 14, it cometh quickly. Now it reads on, the last existing nuclear accord between Russia and the U.S., that is the New START. In an explanatory note attached to the bill, the lawmakers state that the agreement, which was meant to cut in half the number of nuclear weapons deployed around the world, was supposed to allow both parties to carry out inspections in order to ensure compliance with the treaty. The U.S., however, deliberately fails to fulfill its obligations under the treaty in this area of activity, they wrote. Because of this, in accordance with federal law, the Russian president has made a proposal to suspend the agreement. The note reads, adding that the decision to resume Russia's participation in the treaty will also be made by the president. The document was adopted by the State Duma, the lower chamber of Russia's parliament, and must now be passed by the Federal Council and will enter into force once signed by the president. The approval comes after Putin announced in his address to the Federal Assembly on Tuesday that Moscow will suspend its participation in the New START treaty but will not withdraw completely. They'll say that for now, but as things continue to heat up, they'll eventually exit it fully. It says, the president said the document is a legacy of the times when Moscow and Washington did not perceive each other as adversaries. However, times have changed, Putin said, and the U.S. is now issuing ultimatums to Russia and trying to maintain its hegemony. While NATO states openly express the desire to inflict a strategic defeat in Russia, at the same time, members of the bloc are also making absurd demands to inspect Russia's strategic facilities, which the president of Russia use that as them trying to infiltrate and sabotage their facilities. It says, similar requests from Moscow are systematically denied. Russia cannot ignore this. We cannot allow ourselves to ignore this, Vladimir Putin said. And this concludes the article. So, things are heating up. Okay, things are heating up. And now let's get the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7, verse 25 and 26, and then conclude the lesson. Verse 25, it says, destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. So, in the times that we are heading into, destruction which cometh will be present, and many will attempt to seek peace, but there shall be none. And when they're going to be promised peace and safety by their presidents, their governors, their mayors, their local leaders, their sheriffs and whatnot, that is when destruction will come upon them suddenly, and they should not escape. Even suddenly as travail upon a woman that is pregnant with child in the 9th month. And that birth pain comes out of nowhere. It comes really fast and hard, you know. These sisters out there that are mothers, you know. Anyway, reading on, it says, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet. So in those times, they're going to attempt to seek the truth, but they will not be able to find it, because the Lord is going to hide his prophets from off of the internet and also from off of the street corners. Okay, but the law shall perish from the priest and counsel from the ancient. So Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Farrakhan, and all these other leaders of our people, which cause them to err, and they that are led of them will be destroyed. They won't be able to help you Negroes, okay, and you tribes, and those evils. The word evil means bad times, okay. Eve means time, and ill means bad. And we are approaching some very evils. And so with that, I will conclude this lesson. Lord's willing, it was edifying and informative. This has been another In the News, and a walk and talk. So with that, I say shalom to the elect.